Hey everyone, welcome to Stratholme. Today we are going to be doing the undead side. If you want to see the gear that I'm using, you can either check out my Diremal tribute run, or you can take a look at the link below. For consumables for this dungeon, this is the first time I've had to use them, but I needed to use 2 holy water and 1 major mana potion for my priest, and those will be used close to the end of the dungeon. To start off with these packs of monsters, I like to kill the non-elite skeletons first. They seem to do the most damage and are easy to pick off right away. These beginning packs take a little bit to kill. Also, make sure to have your shadow protection buff up at all times. Most of the monsters in this dungeon do shadow damage. And also, for this run, the only gear difference that I made from my Dharmal Tribute run is that I'm using the Seal of Dawn instead of my Jamgabar. With Naxxaramas being released next week, this is a good dungeon to run for reputation. Also, it is good to gather as much of the holy water as you can for all of the trash in Naxxaramas. So this area, an Eye of Naxxaramas spawns there every time. Always make sure to kill it right away. There's 2 other spots in the dungeon where those spawn as well, so make sure to keep an eye open for them. These pulls you need to be very careful when pulling. If you don't pull the monsters back, those flying gargoyles can train a bunch of monsters on you. So take this slow and cautiously. I realized after my first or second pull that I ran out of ammo on my warrior and I wasn't about to go back to town to pick up more, so I decided to start pulling using my priest. And this run I wanted to try to go as fast as I could because it's a long dungeon. It does take a while to do, especially when you're by yourself. Also, the little crates on the side over off to the right have a chance to be a good supply crate that you are able to loot. A bunch of them are actual traps, though. But if you just walk up right up next to it, you can hover your mouse over it, and it will either pop up with nothing or it will say it needs to be disarmed. If it says it needs to be disarmed, then it is a trap and you cannot loot it. Most of these monsters can be line of sighted, so once you hit them once, you can run around the corner. I tried to chain pull the monsters when I saw them in good positions. Sometimes some of the gargoyles can take a while to patrol around. Also, be careful of those gargoyles. You don't want to be too close to other monsters because they fear you for 3 seconds. Even with how fast I was trying to pull and go through, it still took me about an hour and a half to do the dungeon. And that includes running back from one death, which happened on the last boss, Baron. Some of these monsters have a good amount of life, so they take a minute to kill them. A couple times on those packs of 3 ghouls, I got pretty low life. So it's always good to try to make sure to top off your tank. The crypt crawlers, those are hard to pull back. Sometimes they will just stand there and keep casting scarabs on you forever. And even if you line of sight them, it doesn't matter. They just keep casting the same thing. So try to kill those in well positioned places. Looking at the end of the video and looking at the beginning, it appeared that I got 155 Argent Dawn rep being human for killing all the bosses. And at the beginning of my tribute run video, I only had 5,800 rep. And at the start of this video, I had 7,800. So in the attempts that I was trying to do to make this video and to learn the bosses, I ended up getting about 2,000 rep. And that does not include turning in the Scourge Stones from my last full run or this full run. Those necromancers that do the soul trap are quite annoying to kill by yourself because the soul trap drains life, and they also end up putting up a bone shield which blocks a certain amount of damage, and you can't gain rage off of the hits from when they have the bone shield up. I never really learned which one is better to kill first, either the necromancers or everything else. And I try a couple different ways throughout the video, but I don't think I came to a solid conclusion. So the first boss, Narub, he was kind of easy to figure out how to kill him, but it's good to have both of your characters upright by the boss because he does drop aggro sometimes, and he also nets you to the ground so you can't run after if your healer is farther away. And since the dungeon's so long anyways, it's always good to just pop all of your cooldowns at good timing, but also make sure to keep up on the heals because popping those cooldowns make you take a lot more damage. Also, keeping the other character so close, it's easy to whirlwind and cleave down the little scarabs spawning in. Also in this video, I'm just focusing on one character for picking up all of the stones, which is my warrior. Also, make sure to come in with lots of bag space. There is a lot of junk that drops off of all the trash and in the chests. So Baroness was a very interesting challenge because when you try to kill Baroness with two people, she will enslave one of them. Sorry, not enslave. She will possess one of you, and you have to fight the person by yourself. So in most cases, when fighting the Baroness, she'd always possess my warrior, which is quite a problem for my priest. It works if you clear out all of the trash in this area so you can fear. But even still, if you take too long trying to take down the possessed, the boss will respawn soon and help the person that is possessed still. So I found a way to solo the Baroness with my priest. That's why I killed all 3 packs of ghouls and skeletons in the beginning of the dungeon. Normally you can skip the second group if you want to. And always make sure to clear out all the trash on the right here. I've body pulled it a couple times and it's killed me in previous attempts. And also keep in mind, it is very easy to die on the trash in here, even if you are careful sometimes. I have died a lot trying to make this video, but this recording of this instance ended up going really well. Alright, so I'm hiding my warrior now, and I've done this a few times and I've never died with this strategy, so I'm sticking with it whenever I do this place now. Normally, Holy Fire isn't a spell you want to use much because the damage, all in all, kind of sucks, but throwing up an extra dot in the beginning helps. It takes a while to kill the Baroness this way. I will say I am kind of proud for figuring this out, though. It was both fun and amusing at the same time. All she does for her damage ability is cast a shadow damage spell. Banshee Wail. Banshee Wail or Banshee Wall? Banshee Wall. So every time she starts casting, just go around the next corner of the house, and she'll have to stop casting to run around the corner. I ended up taking a few hits here and there because I was trying to get off as much damage as I could to make this go just a little bit faster. But really, it is kind of a boring fight just to watch. Always make sure to keep Shadow Ward Pain rolling on her. I think at one point I might have popped a healing potion. Sorry, mana potion, but it was one of the lower level ones that you get from the supply crates in here. After doing a couple runs, I ended up getting like 30 of them, so they're really easy to come by. But if you don't want to use anything like that, then just keep running around in Shadow Ward Pain. You don't have to cast a lot of the other spells I was doing. At about 5,000 health is when she starts slowing down, so it was easier to get off a couple more damage abilities on her. That's right. She also drops a couple pieces that people need for frost resist gear for Naxxaramas. Also, on a lot of these pulls, I'm just pulling everything, but here I shackled. Most of the monsters in here can be shackled, so if you want to take it a little easier and a little safer, you can shackle a lot throughout here. And depending on the situation, when I was pulling with my priest, I would either use Shadow Word Pain or Smite. I'd use Shadow Word Pain if I wanted to pull the monster instantly. But if I had time to do it, I'd use Smite. One of the humanoids casts a curse on you, which is bad for this dungeon, but the shadow protection buff helps a little bit. The curse they cast on you reduces your shadow resistance by 100. So also one thing you can do is just come in here to clear all the trash to try to get as many supply crates as you can. That is a good way to get holy water. But if you can kill the bosses and open up the gate right before Baron, then there's a couple of crates in there that just give you holy water. Around this point too, some of the gargoyles started to respawn. They, I think, respawn after around a half hour. I had to kill the trash anyway, so I was just pulling some of them a little farther away in case I needed any extra room. Although this boss, Malachi, is pretty easy for the most part. All he does is a ice tomb, which cannot be countered or dispelled. When he does that on the warrior, he will, or whoever is tanking, he'll start shadow bolting the next target. But it's easy to survive. Although this attempt, I don't think I got hit with it once. He tried to cast it, and I still tried to interrupt it, even though it doesn't work, but I resisted it. And after I resisted it, I don't think he cast it again. Other times I've had him hit me with the ice tomb 3 or 4 different times throughout the fight. The drain life does a lot of damage, so you want to make sure to interrupt that. Sometimes I've cancelled my casting a smite when they walk around a little bit, and that's because if they walk in the right direction, they can pull other monsters. Oh, that's right. I decided to kill this group because I saw the chest sitting right beside him that wasn't locked, and they also had a good supply crate there. but you have to be very careful with this pull. I almost died multiple times throughout the fight because their shadow bolts do so much damage. As you can see, I'm running out of room. I had quite a bit of room when we first started too. That crate I just spawned because I wanted to use that corner to try to squeeze by some of the monsters. So if you can do runs like this or Dire Maul Tribute like my previous video, you can get a pretty good supply going of large brilliant shards and greater eternal essences from all the disenchanting. I think this run I got 11 large brilliant shards, 5 greater eternal essences, which is lower than normal. I think the last run I ended up getting 10, and then I got like 10 illusion dust. So this boss, the Magistrate, he is pretty easy to kill. He drops aggro a little bit off and on throughout the fight, so I just need to switch over to defensive stance and taunt. Other than that, he's pretty easy. He normally drops aggro when he does the knockback. Sometimes I'll wait until he actually gets to my priest before taunting, because that gives me a few extra seconds of hitting him without taking any damage. I got a little bit too close to both the supply crates. The little guys went down pretty quick with Holy Nova. This place I was worried about when I first started trying to do this dungeon. I didn't think I was going to be able to make it past these abominations. However, it turned out to be a little easier than I thought. There's only a couple times when one of them roams in quick enough to where I have two for just a couple seconds. But they also do a lot less damage than I thought as well, so it was pretty easy to stay full mana the whole time. The Venom Belchers are pretty easy. The only thing you have to worry about for them is they do a poison spit that hits everybody in range, so just interrupt that and that makes those easy. The Bile Spewers are slightly annoying, but not bad either. They just spawn little poison slimes. But they don't have much life, so it's pretty easy to kill them with just whirlwind and cleave. Killing these abominations is probably the most time consuming part of the whole dungeon. When I start getting down to the last few, I'll usually move into the room to the left where they're starting to roam from, just so I can engage them a little bit faster than waiting, just so it gives me that much more time. At the same time, with just doing this by myself, I wasn't going to rush and pull monsters before they started roaming because I didn't want to put myself in a bad position. So, with this last abomination, right when it dies, Ramstein will come out of the door. So, you want to make sure you're positioned well and full mana and everything. Ramstein hits really hard. He also drops aggro a lot, and he'll stun whoever he's on. So when he does the stun, he'll run after second on aggro. And when he hits the priest and is successful, it takes more than half of her life away. So you have to be very quick on getting aggro back. I've been very worried every time I fight him that he's going to one shot my priest one of these times. So, biggest things to worry about is how hard he hits and the aggro drop. Other than that, it's just tank and spank. And he does have a good amount of life. So here is where I use the two holy waters. The skeletons that come out of the gate, I've tried multiple times just to pick them up on my warrior and holy nova them to death. I die every time. So I got in the habit of using a holy water on my warrior first to try to grab initial threat. Then I'll use the holy water on my priest and then holy nova a couple times, which normally kills him at that point. At this point, I didn't get all the skeletons and zombies though, so I tried to wait a little bit longer. I had to use the shield on my warrior a little early because his life started dropping, but everything worked out. I popped another low level mana potion there, which my mana is still pretty much full. You won't need to do that. And these next monsters that come out, the guards, they also hit really hard, and there's 5 of them. So I always start off right away by shackling one of them. So when I run my warrior in and pull them away from the shackle, I can hit all 4 of them with whirlwind to try to hold threat. Every other attempt I did, I had a shield on. This attempt I tried to go at it without a shield, and I ended up killing him really fast, which helped a lot with the damage, and I think it was the smoothest time I've had killing him. They don't have a whole lot of life. This is one of the few times I will spam heal even when my warrior's not low, just because they do that much damage. Alright, so the Baron was tricky to figure out, and every time I fight him, it's always iffy because there's so much damage going out on my warrior, and Baron also mortal strikes throughout the fight, and the skeletons that spawn in. The first couple attempts, I had my priest at max range, so I wasn't getting hit by the shadow damage, but I wasn't able to kill the skeletons easily at the same time. So Baron would absorb the skeletons and would gain life back. So finally, the strategy I found that works the most was standing the priest behind Baron, because Baron also cleaves, so I can't leave the priest just standing beside my warrior. And 2 Holy Novas will kill the skeletons pretty much every time. And if there's any left with a little bit of life or anything, I'll just Whirlwind or Cleave to finish them off. But this is where I use a major mana potion, because every time he casts skeletons, I have to do 2 Holy Novas. And those 2 Holy Novas take a lot of mana. So at the end of the as you can see, boss is only half dead and I'm pretty much out of mana. So use the mana potion, and I popped all of my damage cooldowns on my warrior because I needed to get the Baron down quickly. But that's also very dangerous. Right there, Immortal Strike me, and I'm almost dead. So I had to very much heal as fast as I could and use a Oh, I didn't use a healing pot this time. I did last time when I died. I was pretty proud the first time I killed Baron by myself. He is not an easy task. Alright, well, thank you everybody for watching my new video, and I hope this helps a lot of people out there for getting Argent Dawn rep and Holy Waters. Thank you guys, and I will try to put out my next video next Friday.